hitting record and going in 3, 2.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Oh, well, a good day, Internet.
Hello, Internet.
That was the best Good Day, Internet, Patrick, that we've heard in a long time. That was pretty
Yeah.
good.
Thank you. I
It's
rehearsed
kinda-
it in my
It was
head.
almost like you were like,
I was not at 100% last week after E3,
Mhm.
so I wanted to impress you a little bit.
So you took whatever, like the 30% you were off for E3 and added it to this week.
Exactly.
mission accomplished.
Nicely done.
133% today.
Patrick always gives 133% the week after E3 is over.
That's right. No, it's funny. Well, because Scott Johnson was on obviously last Wednesday, and the two of you had the same thing. Like a lot of stuff. It was great. Just really tired. Just really need to like decompress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what E3 does to you. I was talking about gaming stuff with Tom earlier. I've talked about this tip or trick or whatever before, but if you're interested in the Xbox Live, the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate service, which is essentially
It's really boring, folks.
Yeah, it is very annoying.
Xbox Game Pass.
So you have Xbox Live and Xbox Game Pass for PC and Xbox Game Pass for consoles. There's a trick to getting it much cheaper, because the first time you get it, they actually add up your Xbox Live subscription months and Xbox Game Pass subscription and add them to your Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So if you have
kind of prorate it.
It's not prorated. That's the thing. If you have 6 months of one and 3 months of the other, they add everything and they give you 9 months of Ultimate, which is the combination of everything. So what I did is I went, me and many other people, someone told me how this worked.
But mostly Patrick.
But yeah, mostly me. I went and bought like 2 years of Game Pass, which is $120 for 2 years. Registered for that, and then switched on the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and so I got 2 years of Ultimate for essentially $100, which is like less than half the price, almost a third of the price. And now I have access to hundreds of games. I even plugged my original Xbox One console back in and have been playing games on that.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. See, y'all don't care. But
no,
we care. We care. No, it sounds good.
It's the amount of savings that makes me want to spend money so I can save that amount of money, which
exactly. I actually, by spending money, I actually saved money.
Look at that. It worked.
You won't believe how much money I saved by only spending $100.
You were going to use it for 2 years. There's no doubt about that, right? If there was doubt about that, then it might not be that great. But you're like, yeah, I'm going to definitely have this service for 2 years. Why wouldn't I do it this way?
There's a 99-cent store near me, and the name of the store is Buy and Save. And I always chuckle because as I walk by, I'm like, isn't it buy and spend? Really? You know,
well,
you're not saving by buying things.
Listen, how does the saying go, Sarah? It says you got to spend money to make money.
Right. Yeah.
You got to save money to make money.
No, I know. So, I find it all a little bit amusing. Like you would actually save more money than if you didn't buy anything.
There's a grocery store chain called Shop and Save.
Yeah.
Back east. It's the same kind of thing. And the jingle is the more you shop, the more you save.
Right.
So in this case, listen, in this case, I spent roughly the price of 2 games, right? And my subscription runs to actually 2022 because I had some remaining things. So if I were to buy 2 games that will be included in that list during those, 2 or 3 years, I'm already, I'm out, I'm even. But if I were to buy a third game, I would have been to buy a third game on that list. I have actually saved money because I don't need to buy it. So
Store. Shop and save just right.
Oh, that's not the right one.
Oh. But so have I rationalized my decision enough that it makes sense to you now?
Yes. If
Yeah,
if you buy enough stuff at a discount, I see where you end up
Okay.
ahead.
I'm ready to hire you as my financial advisor.
Same.
That's
Same.
what I was going
I'll
for.
go ahead and send you
So-
my 2018 tax returns so you can get
All right. So what you
familiarized.
do is that you start by sending me about 1,000 Libra each.
Right.
And then I'll contact you with more details.
I mean, we probably won't talk about this during the actual show. 3 wavy lines is the symbol of a Libra.
Mm-hmm.
Does it inspire confidence in me, honestly?
3 wavy lines is not the
Like-
symbol of a Libra.
Isn't it?
No, because I'm a Libra and I have it
No,
tattooed on
of
my
the
back.
No,
currency, of the currency Libra.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. That's dumb. Why don't they just use the zodiac sign?
Just a goat with scales. What is it? It's scales, but
It scales, but
There's no
the,
goat.
the
That's
actual
Sagittarius.
sign is sort of like it's 2 lines with the top line kind of having almost like a camel hump.
Mm. Yeah, but the 3 lines is already an ASCII code, I think, isn't it? Maybe it
oh,
isn't.
is that why? Because they
I
can just
think so.
glom onto it. Because it feels like a tilde, which is what the wavy lines kind of look like,
But with an
is-
extra one.
is often used as approximately, right? So
Yeah.
I get like
Yeah.
Libra is like real approximately. 3 approximately's.
Here's something that I haven't
like
seen
money.
I haven't seen anything about, and maybe it's because it's too early to say, but if 1 Libra currency equals what amounts of US dollars, what would that be estimated as at this point?
About 1. They're saying they're
1 to
targeting
1?
roughly, more or less, in the
Okay.
$1, €1.
Sure.
Right.
Which of
Not-
course will
it's not
fluctuate,
pegged to the dollar, and we'll explain
No,
this
it is.
during Daily Tech News
Yeah.
Show. But yeah, they want to keep it so that it's about a pound, about a euro, about $1. Like,
Right. Yeah.
you know,
With the standard fluctuations that all
Yeah,
of
yeah,
those
yeah.
real world currencies have with each other.
And yes, it is indeed a Unicode character, the 3 wavy horizontal
That makes
lines.
Tilde?
makes sense why they would use the
Yeah.
3 wavy lines. 3 tildes is a Unicode character. 3 tildes stacked on top of each other.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know what Facebook has against the zodiac.
Well, it's not is it a Unicode character?
The Zodiac, probably not.
Yeah,
I
so
have
there
guessed
you
it.
go. That's what they have against it.
Only people born in October can use our currency. Of our 2.5 billion users,
Well, that's still, that's
somewhere in
still
the
probably
millions.
more users than most services in the
Yeah.
world,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Tom, line 3 needs a little love.
Oh, does it now?
It
Well,
does.
let's get it that
Yep.
love that it needs.
Oh no, I'm silencing. I need to unplug and plug back in.
You are?
Well,
fine.
you are for me.
Oh, I see.
You
We
sound
are.
okay to
It's
us, but
reverse
yeah,
silent.
do what you got to do. We got a few
By
minutes.
your command.
So I mentioned I had a smoke alarm issue. The smoke alarm is one of those smoke alarms that works without a battery
Mhm,
because once I took the battery out, it still does its thing.
mhm.
How is that? Is there a hidden battery
Now I
inside
can't
it?
There
hear
must be.
anyone, so
the
I
only
need
way
to
it-
restart the
Yeah.
audio engine, and there we go. Hello.
Welcome back. You sound great.
Hello.
Excellent. Yeah. No, I think the 3 wavy lines is fine. You really don't like it? You think it's like
No, I'm
unstable?
pretending that it somehow
don't love
bothers
it.
me.
It does.
Yeah,
It does it.
like what would you love more though? You know?
Yeah,
It's like-
exactly.
Exclamation point. Libra.
What if it was like an F with a strike through in the middle?
You mean pound?
No, like a Facebook.
Oh, like the Facebook F. I got you. Yeah.
with a line through it might send mixed messages.
Mm.
And the L
Or,
is already
I
taken
know.
by Lyra.
Mm.
So I know what would work better. Instead of the 3 wavy lines, you just create a Unicode character, which is the face of Mark Zuckerberg, and you add it to the Unicode.
The
like
one thing
Ben
that,
Franklin. But
the
just
one thing is
Zuckerberg.
that they're trying to distance it from Facebook. They're like, this is a
Yeah.
thing we set up independently, so you don't want to use Zuckerberg's face.
Yeah, but they still could.
Right.
want-
Yeah.
you
They're
want
only part of
Zuckerberg's face-
they're only part of the association as much
If you
as
could,
all
if you
the
could have a Libra note, you would want Zuckerberg's face like barely visible in the background under a infrared light or something like that.
Right, so that conspiracy theorists
Mm-hmm.
can say, "Oh, we think that actually it was Facebook that was originally conceiving of this project."
It was the Bilderberg Facebook,
The what?
Council on Foreign Relations, that Davos consortium.
Hey Patrick, what's the weather like in Finland these days?
Oh, it's lovely.
Nice?
It's lovely. Yeah, it's sunny and maybe a tiny bit cold. I wouldn't mind having like 3 degrees extra.
Yeah.
But no, it's really nice. We're playing with the little one outside all the time.
Nice.
No, it's great.
And like what time's our sunset? Pretty late, right?
So it's almost midnight now.
Wow.
This is what it looks like outside.
Hmm.
So
Okay, hold on, let me look.
I don't know. You can't really see, but
It's light.
it's light. It's
Yeah.
light. So midsummer is obviously in a week, not
Mhm.
even like in 3 days. So this is the lowest amount of night time in the year. The sun goes down, like it's quote unquote down, around 1, I guess, and then rises again at 3 or 3:30. But it's never completely dark.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Which I
that's
guess
okay.
you just get used to it.
Yeah, it's not great, but it doesn't last like it's a month and a half or something where it's
Sure.
you don't have
Right.
real night. The problem is, but for that you can just close the blinds, right? The problem is in winter when you don't have
A lot of light. Yeah.
sunlight, and that
Yeah.
you don't have I mean, you can buy a light or something.
Yeah, those lights that are supposed to
Yeah, to
regenerate,
make you old.
for seasonal affective disorders or just,
Yeah.
Overall kind of like we're in too much dark.
And yeah, but it's fine. You just have vitamin D and you're okay.
Yeah.
It's a little bit depressing, but it's fine.
I think
have
we could
you,
spare a couple of degrees to send Patrick, couldn't we?
That would be lovely. But no,
Yeah.
you already, I was going to say it's a bit depressing, but I have my weekly shows with you guys to help me through the week, and it compensates very well. So
Oh,
like
we're
a
happy
vitamin
you
D
feel that
light
way.
of
We're
your soul.
the vitamin D of Finland.
well, of Patrick, I don't know.
Yeah,
if the rest of
yeah.
Finland-
Maybe we won't speak for
Well,
the
as far
entire
as we're concerned,
country.
you're Finland to us.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You are our Finland spokesperson
At least for today.
for sure.
Yeah. Oh, a couple of people have asked this now. Sarah, is your smoke alarm hardwired? Okay, or can you take it down? Because maybe that's why it keeps going off, because the battery could just be a backup if it's hardwired. But if you can actually take it off your ceiling, then it's not hardwired.
Well, okay. I think I understand the question. So you can basically get the smoke alarm, apparatus to come out of the wall. But yeah, there are wires that go into the wall that I'm afraid to.
Okay, then that might be getting
Disconnect.
power through those wires, and that's why it won't go off.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I asked my landlord too, and he was like, "I'll just replace the unit." And I was like, "Well, that's fine, but I would rather just understand what's going on."
Yeah. Is there
Like, I just want to know, like, what am I
is
doing
there a
wrong?
secret fire?
Yeah, like, do I press the button twice? And like,
Yeah. All right. Well, Sarah, since you identified that line 3 needed to change, you get to read it.
Cool.
All right, here we go. Everybody ready to talk Libra?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
3, 2.
Ryan W. has supported independent tech news directly for about a day. Why not be like Ryan and become a DTNS member at patreon.com/DTNS.
Hello, folks. folks. This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, June 18th, 2019 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
And from It's Always Sunny in Finland this time of year, because the sun doesn't go down, I'm Patrick Veda.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
It's Always Sunny in Finlandelphia is my new favorite show. I can't wait to watch. We have a lot to talk about today. As Facebook announced its new cryptocurrency project, we will explain what it is, how it works, what you don't have to worry about, and what you might have to worry about. But let's start with a few other tech things you should know.
The Verge reports that Google is launching RCS service in France, then in the UK, both later this month. RCS follows other efforts like Google Talk, Google Voice, Google Buzz, Google Plus Messenger, Hangouts, Spaces, Allo, and Hangouts Chat. RCS, which is known for Rich Communication Services, is a planned upgrade of the carrier-owned SMS service and is a GSMA standard.
Oh, so maybe it'll stick around this time.
Yeah.
Roly, which makes electronic music instruments, announced its new 24-key Lumi keyboard with an array of features such as keys that light up through internal LEDs and connect to a Lumi app to teach users how to play. The Lumi starts at $250 and is expected to ship to Kickstarter pre-orderers by October, with traditional retailers also offering it this fall.
Cute. Apple TV has new picture-in-picture mode, letting users stream two shows at the same time as part of a new beta software for all of Apple's operating systems. Picture-in-picture support will only be available for content provided by Apple in the Apple TV app. So that means your iTunes stuff, stuff that you stream through the Apple TV Plus subscription service later this year, if you subscribe to HBO or Cinemax, etc., as long as it's streamed through the Apple TV channels or in the Apple TV app, you get the picture-in-picture.
Also known as not Netflix.
That too. Also known as not Netflix, Palm. Palm opened pre-orders for an unlocked version of the Palm phone. If you're not familiar, it's the quote-unquote tiny Android phone that will work on Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and the prepaid Metro brand. Not Sprint, though, not as of yet. The phone was previously limited only to Verizon's network. The 3.2-inch phone was originally meant as a secondary phone, or at least marketed that way, with a Snapdragon 435 chip, limited cameras, and shorter battery life. The unlocked model costs $350 and shipping is expected within 6 to 8 weeks.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Twitch, Patrick.
Indeed, Twitch acquired Bebo, which of late has been a service for organizing and running tournaments for streamers. Bebo launched back in 2005. Almost couldn't read that number. It's so long ago. And after ending up with AOL, then Criterion Capital, Bebo's original founders bought it back in 2013. Twitch acquired the assets and 10 employees who will now work on Twitch Rivals, which organizes competitive events for Twitch streamers.
I mean, this does take me back to when on Buzz Out Loud at CNET, we would talk about how, Bebo is like the MySpace of the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Long
Well,
time.
and when AOL bought Bebo, it bought it at a premium. Bebo was still on the up and up. Facebook hadn't taken that dent out of all social networks that we, that eventually happened. It was in the 800 millions. And then when Criterion Capital bought it back, it was like 25 million. When Bebo's original founders bought it back to kind of like say, all right, well, we've been through lots of incarnations. We were the ones who made this initially and we care about it and we're going to jumpstart the brand. They bought it back for 1 million. So the value of Bebo has fluctuated quite a bit over the years.
And do we know how, I didn't check this, I should have, but do we know how much the Twitch bought it for now? Oh, 25 million.
Yeah, the going rumor is 25 million tops, but neither company is disclosing.
Right. If that's a good return on investment. It's also a complete shift in activity. This is interesting what's happening with Twitch Rivals. Essentially, the esports athletes are realizing that they can make a lot more money by just being Twitch streamers, many of them. And when they end up in competitions as Twitch streamers, they're often not qualifying for the top spots. So what Twitch did, which was really clever, was organize Twitch Rivals, which is kind of invitational type tournaments where you really invite, you get the streamers a specific spot that they will get no matter what. And that is a lot more, well, I shouldn't say a lot more, but this seems to be very effective in getting interest around those people in a esports-ish environment. So it makes sense. This is a relatively new initiative, so it makes sense that they would need a team that knows what it's doing to organize this. So
It's like the Twitch equivalent of barnstorming back in the old 1800s days.
What's that?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't have time to go into it, but professional athletes used to go in the off season and just show up in a field by a barn and play for money to people who
I
couldn't
see. Got it.
otherwise
Yeah.
Oh, so it
Yeah,
would be
the
kind of like
off-season league.
it would be kind of like Twitch Rivals, more or less.
Yeah, that's
nowadays.
why I said that.
Oh,
just the 18th century version.
I know that was the funny thing.
Mac Stories editor Federico Vitici noticed that Apple has added a prompt to iOS 13 Beta 2 when you uninstall an app that says, "Do you want to keep the subscription for this app?" Apple changed its App Store guidelines this year to require developers to make, quote, "the amount that will be billed must be the most prominent pricing element in the layout," end quote, and added an extra confirmation step during signup. This is really helpful. You hear all the time of people saying, "Well, I thought I downloaded a free app, but there was some sort of mixed messaging going on and I ended up subscribing to something." And many people think if you uninstall an app and you don't use it, you're not going to be charged for something, but that's not always the case in the App Store.
Yeah, this is a good thing. Anything that makes it easier to tell what you're subscribed to is a good thing. I just wish they would make subscriptions even easier to get to in the settings. But I understand there's a lot of things you need to get to easily in the settings, and they've made it a little easier, but I think it could be even better.
I would say the subscriptions are really, it's not just a little bit too hard. It is really hidden behind a cascade of menus, and that seems like it should be, a little bit prioritized. But yeah, this is especially good for apps that will maybe offer a free trial and then charge you an inordinate amount of money, which we've seen reports on. And for ordinary people, they delete the app. It takes care of the problem. It's probably the right way to do it.
In a victory for social networks, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that a private company is not subject to the same First Amendment requirements as a state organization in the case of Manhattan Community Access Corporation versus Halleck. Manhattan Community Access Corp ran a public access channel on a contract with New York City, and 2 producers were fired from the channel after publicly criticizing it. They said, "You said things that you shouldn't have said about our channel. We're not employing you anymore." The producers sued, arguing that since the government contracted the channel, the government was paying Manhattan Community Access to run the channel, that it was therefore a public forum and subject to First Amendment protections. The Supreme Court, in a 5-4 ruling written by Justice Kavanaugh, said that the public access channel was not a public forum because it did not take over, and I quote from the opinion here, "powers traditionally exclusively reserved to the state." So in other words, they ruled very narrowly that unless you're doing exactly the same thing as the state, just because the state's paying you, doesn't mean you're subject to all the same constitutional law as the state. And they use things like, government licenses people to drive, and because you are going to a private company to apply for your license, which you can do sometimes, that doesn't mean you're allowed to say whatever you want. It's all in there saying it's strictly if you're doing things that are exclusive to the government that you're subject to this, and this company was not. So they even hinted that other things, so the ruling got a little wider, like social media platforms could not be considered public forums. A lot of people were worried that the court would rule in favor of the producers and that the ruling could then be used to go after Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., for moderating content, saying, well, you're silencing me, and so that's a violation of my First Amendment. Justice Kavanaugh went on to espouse the wider principle that, I quote, "a private entity who provides a forum for speech is not transformed by that fact alone into a state actor." So sort of pointing to that if you tried to bring a case where you're going after a social network, it wouldn't wash. At least it wouldn't wash with Justice Kavanaugh and the 5 people who joined him. And in fact, Justice Sotomayor, who wrote the dissent, also acknowledged that if there was not a state actor involved at all, then there wouldn't be any protection.
Right. I think this is the most interesting part of the ruling. The actual contentious, somewhat potentially contentious part is, if the state is paying you, should the First Amendment apply? And there, I think there could be an argument to be made. And actually, the 4-5 ruling shows that legally it's not a completely, I guess it is clear cut now, but the argument could have been
But
made.
yeah, there were justices on the other side of that for sure.
Right. So that was the interesting legal question, which also had societal implications. The really interesting thing is, as you mentioned, they went out on their way on both sides of the issue to say, however, if you are a private company, First Amendment does not apply to you. And it almost seems like they had heard all of the rumblings starting to gain traction in the public on, for various reasons, of people starting to say, oh, First Amendment left and right in the context of social media. It's really interesting that they took the time and effort to say, don't even try bringing the case to us, because no, it does not apply, period. That's it. Case over. Thank you. Goodbye. I think that's significant.
Yeah, and it was unexpected. A lot of people were worried that the court might rule in favor of the producers and leave, even if they ruled strictly, leave a hole open for more court cases. But like you say, Patrick, instead of doing that, they ruled against the producers and went out of their way to say, and don't file a bunch of other cases around this, because here's how we'll probably rule. So yeah, I think that's significant.
Although I would say the public access channel, which I assume you got rabbit ears or OTA antenna, is free if you live in the
public access channel is usually delivered over cable, actually.
Oh, interesting. So this is not something that you could access for free necessarily, because I was gonna
it's on the basic cable plan, so maybe sometimes, but yeah.
Okay, because I was going to argue, well, you can't really throw social networks into that, because how can any of us access social networks without some sort of an internet connection of some kind, whether it's cellular or Wi-Fi or otherwise? But if this is not something that was readily available to New York citizens in Manhattan specifically for free, then I can see where you could make that comparison more easily.
Yeah. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. All right, Libra, what is it? Facebook announced it is launching a cryptocurrency sometime next year, first half of 2020. So at least by June 2020, they expect to have this thing ready and launched. It is a coin that you can exchange real money for and then use like you would any kind of cryptocurrency like Bitcoin to pay for things and avoid a lot of the burdens of the financial system. So it is not like Bitcoin in that the value is just determined by the marketplace. It is backed by assets in something called the Libra Reserve. That is made up of low volatility assets, things like bonds, bank deposits, government securities, currencies from stable and reputable central banks, including the US dollar, the British pound, the euro, the Swiss franc, and the yen. So you'll hear it called a stable coin, and it's almost exactly the same. It kind of depends on who you talk to, but it's not as uniform as a directly pegged stable coin. A stable coin is often pegged to a single currency, like 1 Libra would equal $1. That's not what's going on here. It's pegged to this basket of different currencies and securities. So it's not as volatile as Bitcoin, but it's also not subject to fluctuation of one currency because the other assets in the basket balance it out. Now, ideally, this means Libra holds a more stable value, as one currency or asset can't throw it out of whack. There is no fixed supply of Libra. It's not like Bitcoin where there's mining going on and a certain amount of Bitcoins always exist at a certain time. Libra is created when you buy it, and it's destroyed if you cash out. So the only amount of Libra that will exist are the amount in the system. Initially, it's going to be used for low-cost, fast money transfers. This is useful for the 31% of the world that is unbanked. Don't have bank accounts, can't store money without paying a high cost. Developing economies for the most part. Facebook is running it and building it through the end of the year, but then we'll hand it over to the nonprofit Libra Association. So Facebook won't be running this currency by the end of the year. The Libra Association currently has 28 partners. Now, Facebook is one of them, but they're easily outvoted by the other 27. It's headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. It includes Facebook through a subsidiary called Calibra that we're going to talk about in a while. It also includes Coinbase, MasterCard, Visa, eBay, PayPal, Stripe, Spotify, who wants easier ways for people in more parts of the world to be able to pay them for their subscriptions, Uber, same reason, Lyft, Vodafone, some venture capital people like Andreessen Horowitz, and some nonprofits involved in the financial sector like Kiva or Women's World Banking. Libra's association is committed to recruiting more members. They want to have up to 100 by the end of the year, or at least by launch. Members have to have $10 million to buy in, and they have to have half a rack of server space, at least 100 megabits per second or above dedicated interconnect connection, a full-time site reliability engineer, and enterprise-grade security, because part of being a founder of the Libra Association is running a node in the blockchain that runs the cryptocurrency. In exchange for all of this, members get a Libra investment token, and money from sales will be placed in low-risk assets with revenue going to support operating expenses, and any revenue left over after operating expenses goes to the partners of the Libra Association as dividends. So there's an incentive to invest because you may get some money back. Libra blockchain will be released under an Apache 2.0 license. It will be open source, and it is available right now as a test net. You can program for it in the Rust language. They are going to change that to their own Move language to allow you to build apps that take advantage of the blockchain. Now, the blockchain itself is what's called a permissioned blockchain. That means you have to have permission to run a node. Validator nodes are run by association members. Remember, they have to have all of the connections and reliability and engineers. That's why. But anybody can build an app on top of it. There are plans to eventually transition from this permissioned blockchain to a permissionless blockchain. It would be proof of stake like Ethereum, not proof of not the way Bitcoin is run. They want to get to permissionless in about 5 years. There are also a small transaction coin cost, fraction of a cent per transaction. Most users won't notice it, but it would help to deter spam or denial of service attacks. And the Libra blockchain is expected to run at about 1,000 transactions per second. By comparison, Bitcoin runs at about 7 transactions per second, Ethereum about 15. And they're working with HackerOne on a bug bounty system later this year. Now, that's the coin. That's the association that is unassociated with Facebook, except for Facebook being a member. Before we get to what does Facebook get out of it, how private is it, any questions before I continue?
Well, one of the main questions, because I've been polling a lot of folks, especially folks who work in more of the financial sector than I do, like, how do you feel about this? Is it scary? Blah blah blah. And what I've heard more than once is people saying it's super frightening that Facebook might, this might be a hit, and Facebook is going to be acting as a sovereign state with that many users and that much amount of money that, yes, is somehow mirroring government financial systems, but absolutely not that. I said, okay, well, what about the Libra Association, though? Doesn't that kind of quell some of the fears? Because we're talking to a lot of different companies and nonprofits and venture capitalists, as you mentioned, Tom, that are going to be overseeing this. And he, in this case, one person in particular said, no, I mean, these are companies, for the most part, of those 28 companies, which Facebook is one of those 28, these are companies that are working on profit above all else. Venture capitalists, same thing, looking for the highest rate of return on an investment. And this, not as if to say that government currencies don't have their issues. They certainly do, depending on the country, of course. But this is, it is a capitalistic solution to something that we've never seen at such volume because it's Facebook.
Well, but Facebook, okay, and as you mentioned, Facebook is separate from the Libra Association. The Libra Association will eventually have 100 members if they get it done right, which means Facebook will be less a part of that. And they want to have about a quarter of those be nonprofits. So keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind, but also this is tapping into Facebook's user base, right?
Right.
That is how this
No,
whole thing
wait, no,
ramps
no,
up so
no.
quickly.
It is. It isn't. It's not. No more tapping into Facebook user base than it is tapping into anyone else's user base.
The
Facebook is
Libra
going to be
Association
using
is.
it.
In fact, let's get to what does Facebook get out of this and the privacy involved in it, because I think that informs this opinion. Facebook has created a subdivision called Calibra. So in other words, the way Instagram and WhatsApp and Oculus are subsidiaries, Calibra will be an independent subsidiary owned by Facebook. They are going to create a digital wallet that will be used in Messenger and WhatsApp. My guess is it'll probably go in Instagram and Facebook too. But they mentioned for sure Messenger and WhatsApp, as well as Android and iOS apps. If you are using this and you get hacked or scammed, Calibra will provide 24/7 support to refund your money the way you would with a credit card. And if you're wondering, okay, but how does Facebook make money from this? Facebook's vice president of blockchain, David Marcus, said, if more commerce happens, then more small businesses will sell more on and off platform, and they'll want to buy more ads. So it'll be good for our ads business. And we'll talk about that in a second with privacy. Calibra itself may also offer credit lines or investing options. So they may be able to make some money off interest. All right. Privacy is obviously the biggest thing on top of everyone's mind here, right? There are public-private key pairs. This is a cryptocurrency. There is not anonymity because it is a public ledger, but there is some anonymity protection of a sort. And I'll get to that in a second. Anyone who signs up for Calibra has to share a government ID and other personal information. That is a regulatory requirement. And that is something they're being very careful to follow regulations in every region they want to operate in. You do not need a Facebook account to use Calibra. If you just want to create a brand new account on Calibra, you can do that. Facebook also promises not to source account info or data from Calibra without consumer consent. Keep that last bit in mind. They will ask for your consent. Calibra will not share data with third parties of any kind, except for legal compliance, like they got a warrant, or product performance. In other words, you're paying somebody. They have to share some of your personal information when you pay a merchant. And they're like, we'll do that, but we won't do anything beyond that. No sharing of info for ad targeting without permission as well. Okay, so when you give that consent, when you give that permission, what's that going to look like? We don't know. But my guess is they may ask you like, hey, would you like to connect your WhatsApp contacts? Would you like to connect your Facebook contacts and see if they're on Calibra? When you do that, boom, you may be giving consent or permission. So keep that in mind. It appears, though, that all of this would be opt-in according to their privacy statements, but they don't have terms of service written yet. So you'll want to double check to make sure that carries on once the terms of service come out. Calibra also settles accounts on internal ledgers for payments within the Calibra system, then records to the Libra blockchain in aggregate. That provides you a little bit of anonymity. In other words, your transaction wouldn't be exposed on the general Libra blockchain. It would only be exposed on the Calibra ledger. So you'll need to trust Calibra to keep that data safe, but it at least provides one little speed bump before it gets out to the wider blockchain. So what are the benefits? Well, money transfers are slow, 2 to 3 days right now. And they're costly. If you're doing remittances, they can charge an average of 7% of what you're sending. If I'm in Canada and I'm sending money home to Pakistan, 7% just gone. If I'm using Libra, then almost nothing is gone when I send that money back. Reduces transaction fees for sellers, quite possibly. Micropayments could become feasible because you don't have these large fees attached. However, you got to get merchants to accept it by providing some rewards for signing up customers or something. You got to get consumers to use it. Again, maybe rewards. Maybe they give you a few free Libra when you create an account or watch a video or something. You have to do that regulatory compliance in every country that you want to operate in. That's really tricky. And of course, the last challenge is trust. We just heard some of that from Sarah just now, that there are people who are like, yeah, but I don't care. I don't trust Facebook.
Yeah, that is where I have a little bit of I guess issue is a strong term, but from where I'm standing, and I'm very happy to be contradicted about this, the way Facebook has set it up makes it no different than if an well-known open source organization had set something up, something like this up. Like if this came from Mozilla or the Wikimedia or something like that, I think everyone would be looking at it and say, yeah, this looks pretty kosher. It is. Facebook has no control over it any more than any other member. It is completely open source. Of course, I understand the fact that it's still Facebook, so people will be hesitant to uh, uh, not assign nefarious intent to it. But I don't think they've set it up so that it seems at least impossible on the base level to do anything nefarious with it. Now, the way they implement it with Calibra, that's another question, but it would be the same for any other system. Am
It
I
reminds me of the
correct
FIDO
in this?
Alliance for security, where
Right.
you have Google and Apple. You have these big companies coming together and saying, let's make an independent thing so that we can all benefit from it on the security end. This is Facebook saying, let's make an independent thing so that all of us, PayPal, Visa, can benefit from it. And Calibra is Facebook's way of trying to benefit from it.
I would be surprised if Google and Apple didn't join this. That's how well structured it seems.
Yeah. Well, because it is Gaucham is like, but it isn't coming from an open source org, but it is. They're open sourcing the Libra.
Yeah.
The Libra Association is administering an Apache licensed open source blockchain.
Well, Patrick, you mentioned, nothing about this seems like nefarious in any way. The fact that it's Facebook gives people pause, but I think that that's really important, and I think that that's why I'm hearing some dissent, in some of the circles that are following Libra and Calibra, saying, yeah, but it's Facebook. This is all Facebook is so strong. And yes, you're right. You don't have to have a Facebook account to sign up for a Calibra wallet. But most people will have one, and Facebook is going to do its best to make sure that its users know what their options are and get on board. The whole kind of like getting someone to use this who's not on Facebook, that's a lot harder than leveraging the people that are already in the system using a variety of Facebook's apps. And I think that that's where it frightens folks, because Facebook, for a variety of reasons, has real privacy issues. The company's trying to turn that all around. And so this comes at a complex time for messaging from the company.
Yes.
as they try this new initiative, which on paper does sound pretty kosher.
I will say, I think the reason they're doing it, and it informs kind of why we should or shouldn't trust them. I think they need this tool for future developments they want to do with their apps. We've heard about Zuckerberg wanting to essentially change Facebook into the Chinese super apps like WeChat and stuff like that. This is like let's push the analogy. It's a horse breeder who imagines cars, and he thinks, well, I need wheels to create cars. Let's get together and make wheels, and then we'll all use wheels to do cars. But I kind of need this to make my car, and my car is going to be super useful. This is the wheel that Facebook needs to continue developing their app and transforming Facebook. And the attractivity of a cryptocurrency that actually works and that scales, meaning the removal of charges for payments, the instantaneity of money of transfers. I mean, we all use Patreon, for example. We lose 7, 8, 10% in those charges. I would switch to Libra tomorrow and earn more money. Maybe not tomorrow. I'm exaggerating, but you see what I mean.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be
the rate is very attractive.
And all the fear around Facebook has forced them to not do what WeChat did. WeChat did it easily. WeChat just said, we'll set up payment processing. Boom, done. We're not worried about remittances. We just want people to use WeChat when they're checking out online or offline. Facebook wants that too, but they know if they did that, everyone would scream even bloodier murder than they're screaming about Libra. So they went to the extra work to say, let's use the advantages of a public ledger. Let's make an open source platform. Let's create an independent association. Obviously, we want a voice in that, but we're going to give Calibra the voice, and we're going to outnumber ourselves so that we deflect as much of the things we can be accused of doing wrong away from the currency itself, so that we can then take advantage of that and use it in the Facebook platform.
So, Tom, let me ask you this question as a conclusion. My assessment is that this is not Facebook. This is as much Facebook as, HTML is Facebook. Facebook uses HTML, but Facebook isn't HTML. Would you agree that this is not Facebook in almost as many ways?
Facebook didn't design HTML.
No,
this is
of
something
course.
that Facebook was
pushing the analogy.
HTML is not a great analogy, but Fido is a really good one. And this is like Fido. Fido, we're hoping will solve passwords, right? But nobody says like, nah, but Google's behind it. I don't know. So this, I feel like the Libra Association is not Facebook. Facebook has done what they needed to do to create an independent association, and it seems pretty bulletproof there. Where Facebook is going to have problems is in the public perception that confuses the two and thinks they're issuing fiat currency or trying to undermine world currency. This thing's pegged to actual currencies. It needs real currencies to exist in order to run. And what they do when they trick people to giving them consent and permission and start tracking their purchases, because they desperately want to compete with Amazon too. Amazon knows everything you buy and why you bought it and how much and when. And Facebook wants to have that same information because they need to be able to compete with Amazon on more than just advertising, as Amazon is starting to compete with Facebook on advertising. So you want that diversification, and you want the ability to make some money on the financial system, which is another income stream outside of retail and advertising.
Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. Unsurprisingly, Facebook's Libra story was up at the top today. Thank you in advance for submitting stories and voting on others. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Y'all are the best. You know who else is the best? People in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Daily Tech News Show. So thanks to everybody who helps us make our rundowns every day. And also thanks to Patrick Beja for being with us on the show, talking a little Libra, talking all sorts of stuff today. Patrick, where can people keep up with the rest of your work?
It's very easy. Just go to frenchspin.com, or even easier, just open your podcast app and subscribe to Pixels. Search for it, subscribe, and get the full summary of what happened at E3. If you're a game enthusiast, that is what you want. And if you are a little bit more casual, then go to MVGB, the monthly video game briefing, where we summarize all of that even more.
Folks, if you want to support this show, it's an easy way to do it. Get rid of some ads, get some extra content, enjoy supporting Daily Tech News Show directly the way we get most of our support from you. dailytechnewsshow.com/support or patreon.com/DTNS.
Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Keep those emails coming. We love getting them. We're also live Monday through Friday, and we'd love to have you join us live if you can, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 20:30 UTC. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
And how?
And how?
Good stuff.
Scales.
Standing O to Tom for an incredible Libra explanation.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
that was-
From a
Yeah,
Libra,
it
that
was, yeah, you're right. And I'm a Libra, so I should know the delicate balance associated with all of this. No, it was great. It was great.
Let's Talk Libra is actually a really good suggestion for the title.
Let's talk Libras.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
Talk Libra.
Let's talk Libra. Yeah.
Mhm.
It should be Libra on
The French
some level.
Minister of Finance and Economy is already asking questions.
Oh, yeah.
There were other EU ministers asking questions. It's certainly a great press opportunity to ask questions, whether you have them or not. I'm not trying to cast aspersions, but there's no reason not to go up and ask questions, even if you have the slightest one, right? Actually, will Libra tip the scales? I think I want to go with that.
That's a good
pretty
one
good, yeah.
too. Good one
We
too.
didn't even mention Libra office, which might be
We
angry.
didn't.
Slightly
We
different.
didn't. Ah,
Yeah.
missed op.
Yeah. No, we
I
now
actually
we
kind of
have.
forgot about Libra.
We've righted
Yeah.
that wrong. I think this is one thing I didn't get to in the show is that fear of like, yes, but Facebook, I think comes from the crypto community a lot. And as we have seen through all of Facebook's ridiculous moves and controversies, people keep using Facebook. So I wonder how much that really is going to matter, because the whole point here is that Facebook has a huge billions of people marketplace that they can get to use this. And if they do, that means that other people will also want to implement it, like PayPal, like Spotify, whether they're using Facebook users or not. There can be independent wallets. PayPal will create their own Libra wallet, similar to Calibra. They'll interoperate on the Libra blockchain, and then once that gets going, this becomes bigger than Facebook. It just really does. But the question is, can the Facebook engine get it running enough that other people will want to jump in?
If anyone has they have, I'll put it like that. If any cryptocurrency can make it, it's this one. If this one doesn't make it with Facebook, but not just Facebook, all of the payment companies and partners they have, if that one doesn't make it, I don't see how any other one could. But
I mean, it's not even really a cryptocurrency except in technology, which is good.
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
why the other
cryptocurrency
ones
shouldn't
didn't
be like a speculative vehicle on its own. It should be a way to implement technology. So
yeah, the problem with the instability of the other ones is that they became speculation vectors,
right.
and that's all they were. Well, I'm gonna get emails, but kind of all they were good for a little bit.
Well, there was an email that Sarah forwarded along from someone who compared Bitcoin to gold and Libra to fiat currency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which you may or may not agree with that comparison, but you can see the wheels spinning for many folks, being like, okay, what's in it for us? Because it doesn't sound, I mean, it's not like, oh, let's buy a bunch of computers and, turn our guest room into a mining station. Like, that's not what this is. Unless you can buy a node for $10 million and become a partner, you're not going to get money from using this. This is just a transaction option, the way lots of digital transaction options have become the norm for many of us.
Yeah. In fact, if you use it, you likely save money because you're not spending
your rates are a little bit lower. Yeah. So you're incentivized to do that, but you're not going to
save.
Exactly.
But I really
buy
think
and save. Buy and save.
That argument is, I think, going to be underreported or undervalued by every person in the world that isn't a business owner. Because if you are a business owner, for every transaction that you have using this rather than anything else, you instantly made 7% more money. Right. That is an incredible incentive. I mean, it's yeah. I don't know what else you could do by just snapping your finger, making 7% more money on every transaction. It's incredible.
Well, the merchants may not make 7%. That's the remittance amount that people get charged.
Right. Okay.
Home, but
you're pocketing more than you were before.
Like you're suddenly not having to pay money that you had to pay otherwise.
Yeah, sure. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's so many places I've gone that over the years who are like, can you use a debit card instead of a credit card? Because they don't get charged transaction fee on a debit card, right? That kind of stuff makes a big difference with small business.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. My dad used to complain about the Amex bill that would come through, and he says, like, screw it, no more Amex.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I think we're going to underestimate the importance of that. And if they get it far enough off the ground that it becomes a viable option for business owners, then it's off to, it's blowing up into space. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many opportunities for it, but there's certainly a lot of There's going to be a lot of headwind as they get bigger.
I like BioCow's. BioCow says Libra is like, I have a cow, you have 3 pigs, and we trade. And later I can trade my 3 pigs for a cow. Bitcoin is like, I have a cow, you have 3 pigs, we trade, and then suddenly I have 50 pigs.
Or 2 or a half.
Or 1.
I have
Yeah.
pigs and they're all really cheap.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you guys pick a GDI?
We didn't.
Oh, no, we haven't picked a GDI title.
Let's do it.
Frequent liar miles.
Who is lying? I don't get that one.
Oh, was that before we started the Twitch stream though?
I don't know. I was it before I was here?
No, you coined that phrase. Frequent liar miles.
No, I didn't.
Wait, what?
I've never said that before in my life. Frequent liar miles?
I said frequent liar miles. You said frequent lying.
Oh,
Frequent
like
liar.
flyer.
Well,
miles. Okay.
I will.
security
I
questions.
will.
Thank you,
I
Kirby
got
Scott
you,
is
I
one.
got
It was
you,
when we were
I got
talking about lying on the security questions.
Got you. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So
I
long
will.
ago.
Now that mystery has been solved, I can safely leave you to your own devices.
No. You have to stay up all night. It's still light
Oh,
outside.
Right, I didn't realize.
Just kidding.
Yep,
No, I know.
it's
We know
fun.
it's super
It-
late
it's
where you
fun.
are, Patrick. Good show though.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
stuff.
All right. Many hugs to all of you and to the chat rooms. And I'll talk to you in a week.
Sounds
Night.
good. Nighty night.
So potentially huge.
I like that.
I think that's a good one. Let's do that for GDI.
Yeah. Okay.
Like my waistline.
Huge if true. Dances with dogs.
How many Libra do you think you'll want to start with?
As many as you can get.
Well, no. I mean, let's say you have $1,000 in your bank account. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
You're gonna put all 1,000 into Libra. Like $20.
I guess, it really comes down to, it was like how you were saying, Roger. It's like, okay, there's a convenience store nearby me where I get my like weird fancy water. They just, for whatever reason, they have lots of fancy waters. I've been going there since I've lived here, which is over 6 months now. Sometimes, once a day, more often than not, once every day, all week. And just a few days ago, the guy was like, just so you know, it's 75 cents every time you use your card. And I was like, why didn't you tell me that? Like when I came in here the first time, I've now given you $75 that I didn't really realize I was doing, which is, that's just them trying to, cover themselves for their charges.
Mhm.
But if I thought, okay, well, this is what I'm typically spending on, water and cat food and I don't know, some chips and salsa every once in a while at the store, and I can convert it to Libra and then either wipe away or significantly reduce the premium that I'm paying on the transaction, then I would convert all of that money into Libra. But, it just sort of depends on what your financial situation is.
I mean,
they do hope that people will start using, scan a code, use your Libra app to pay at the cash register. So,
honestly, besides the fact that I have, the whole thing gives me pause because it's almost like it gives me pause because it's not totally real yet. And there's so much speculation on what can go wrong. And the fact that it's like, yes, I know Facebook is trying to distance itself as like, we're only one of many companies that are involved in this. And we've set up subsidiaries and nonprofits and the whole thing. It still scares people.
Well, it's only
Besides
scared
all
because Facebook is involved.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because otherwise there's nothing more to be scared about this than any other new enterprise.
Right. Besides that, and I would say I'm kind of at the low end of that spectrum in general because, privacy and security matters to me, but I'm not sure that I'm as paranoid about Facebook as some people are in certain realms. That said, give me the best rate. That's what I'll use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lon says Apple Pay, Google Wallet, Facebook Libra, except Facebook Libra could be used in your Google Wallet or Apple Pay. I'm not saying they will do that. Certainly Apple probably won't for a long time. But your Google Wallet just uses currency, right? It's not like Google created a currency. So there's no reason that Google Wallet couldn't say, yeah, we're going to implement it on the blockchain with Libra. And if you want to pay through Google Wallet with Libra, you can. I mean, I think there's a lot to try to understand about this that is complex because people don't follow the financial industry, and the financial industry is ridiculously complex. But from my reading of it, Facebook has set up an association to run a cryptocurrency in the most responsible way you could expect one to do it, working with central bankers, working with multiple, right now 27, hopefully 100 other partners, creating a nonprofit foundation, creating an open source blockchain. Like, they're doing it right. The worries shouldn't come about the fact that they've set up Libra. The worries should come on what they do with Libra independently. Forget about the association. Forget about Facebook made its own currency. They almost didn't. But what are they going to do once they start using that currency? And that would be true if someone else had set this up and they just started using it. It's all about, what does Facebook do with payments on their platform? That's where the worries are.
Well, and you mentioned Google and Apple, and those are two companies that will be forced to adopt this. Well, not forced, but be very strong-armed. Yes, very compelled to adopt this if enough folks end up using it, because you just have to play. You have to play along with what people are using as currency, even if competitive wise you wouldn't want to.
If maybe not, it depends, and they may be forced in some regions to want to do it. Let's say remittances is really what takes off, because that's what everybody expects this to be good for. And somebody says, yeah, I want to send it to my friend's Google Wallet. Can I send my Libra to your Google Wallet? Becomes an issue if it's like, well, no, you got to send it to my Libra app, and then I turn it into the Google Wallet. Right. Then on two ends, it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't use Google Wallet then. But if Google says, hey, we'll accept Libra, and somebody's like, oh, great, I don't have to set up a Libra account. I can use my Google Wallet as my Libra wallet. I don't have to get Calibra. Then suddenly that benefits Google. Whereas at the counter, at checkout, if somebody's already taking Apple Pay and Google Wallet, and then they add Libra, I don't think that puts any pressure on Apple and Google to accept it.
No.
But it might if merchants started taking Libra that don't take Apple Pay and Google Wallet, and they realize, well, if we were a Libra wallet, then suddenly we can add a bunch of merchants that don't have us set up otherwise.
And that'll be interesting. Are there merchants who, for whatever reason, there's been a holdout, like not interested in Android Pay or Apple Pay, but Libra, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We'll go ahead
and make it
attractive. That POS, at the checkout, and then people like me who forgot their wallet are like, "Oh, great, yes, I have Calibra on my phone. Cool, we're good."
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can you incentivize companies to do that? Is it going to be? I don't even know if it's easier. Maybe BioCow knows. I don't know if it'd be easier to set up a Libra situation in your retail operation than it would Apple Pay or Google Wallet.
Yeah, I don't know either. We haven't really talked about how that kind of point of transaction would play out, since it's not a thing yet. It's just something we're talking about.
Well, easily enough, a company could implement on the open source Libra blockchain their own version of this. I'm sure companies will arise that offer to do this for retail outlets. So you could start to do that. Beatmaster points out 1,000 transactions per second sounds good, but not on a credit debit card level. That's an interesting issue. Facebook is assuming that if they do this right, billions of people are going to use it. So 1,000 transactions per second must feel enough for them. But yeah, I mean, assuming most people have a phone, more and more people have a smartphone. That smartphone can have some kind of app, whether it's Calibra or some other Libra associated app. Then really it's up to the retailer to decide to implement the infrastructure, which they can do. They can do it on the test net right today for kicks, not for real money, and be ready when this thing does launch in 2020. BioCow says that Apple and Google are standardized and pretty turnkey at this point. So yeah, you'd have to wait for somebody to create a business that makes it turnkey, I guess. If Libra becomes standardized and widespread, then it would be easy. Well, it is kind of standardized as it is. So yeah, the widespread is the bigger issue there, I think. It's all about, it does seem to come down to acceptance. If you can get
Yeah.
merchants to accept it and consumers to use it, then this
Right.
could change a lot of things.
Yeah. And I think you just need one example of like, oh, but see how much you saved. Think about how many times you make this particular purchase over and over and over, because we're all creatures of habit. This is how much you'd save over a year using this currency. Boom, done. People go, all right, fine. I want to save money. Buy and save.
Yeah. No, the merchants, you just have to come in and say, look at these lowered transaction costs, and we'll do a rewards program. I kind of skipped through that in my notes, but it's in my notes here about merchants being allowed to give rewards for signing up customers. So in other words, Calibra might come in and say, hey, if you take Libra through the Calibra app, we'll give you a little cash back every time you sign up a customer and keep them. So you can do all kinds of incentives like that. And it's supported by MasterCard and Visa. I think that's huge. If they're going to be involved in this. Because BioCal says the merchant doesn't care if the bank or the hardware accept it. So if Visa can process Libra transactions, done. A bunch of merchants will be using it immediately.
How much do we feel like this could be a huge failure? Could it?
Oh, definitely. I mean,
because everyone's sort of like, if it takes off, if this catches on, if people use it, but it's like, is there any real question that they will?
I think it's unlikely that it falls flat immediately.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of pitfalls in the road.
Yeah.
If merchants are just like, you're making it too hard to, it's all in the implementation then, I think. If merchants are like, yeah, you're making it too hard.
Yeah, like we're good. We're fine.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem like they will.
It's not like this is like the Facebook phone. No one wanted it. Like it's not. You can't really compare it to a product that might fall flat, even if the company otherwise is very successful in other endeavors.
I mean, if Visa and MasterCard came in and said, "Look, if you take our cards, you pay this much, but if you take a Libra transaction process through it, we take less," which they could do because it costs them less. I don't know. There's so many questions about it. I don't think anybody can say honestly whether it's going to be a failure or not.
It's interesting because I mean, like Tom suggests, I don't think it will be a black and white. It will fail. It will be on a sliding scale. Like at some point, I think whatever happens, there will be something that will continue out of this. Whether
I'll be 50 by the time this launches.
I'm sorry. Or congratulations.
That's how it's. I'm just saying it's going to be launching a ways away. It's not happening anytime soon.
Wait, is this a subtle hint for what you want? Here's your Libra wallet for your 50th.
Yes, for my 50th birthday, I would like a bunch of Libra. Just send me Libra.
I'll send you a set of scales.
The scales will fall from my eyes.
You'll what are some of the characteristics you always hear about people who are Libras? Artistic,
Indecisive.
like nice things, don't know how to make a decision. All pretty true, even though I don't really care about astrology. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of me. Can't make a decision, like nice things.
So are those just broad? See, like I don't know all the broad
They're
traits.
silly. It's like when people say, oh, no wonder everything's going wrong in my life. Mercury's in retrograde. Or I'm like, what?
So wait, tarot.com. Is this a reliable source to get my horoscope?
Sure. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Fine.
One of the best.
If you were
that's the best part, right? Okay. This just hit me. People are like taking the Libra Association and just raking it over the coals, right? Well, it's got 28 members, but who are the members? And well, wait a minute, is it really a nonprofit? But they'll believe any article from any website without giving it a second thought of who's behind it.
Right.
Well, that's why I asked.
Yeah. Allow us to track your location.
I wasn't directed at you, Roger. I was the fact that you brought up the fact that you just go to any website
so
and find tarot.
I am a cusp. I am both Sagittarius and Scorpio. I am a centaur with the scorpion's stem.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
I was born on this cup, I am influenced by the planets Pluto. I don't think it's a planet anymore, and Jupiter.
That's a dog.
Yeah, it was downgraded, and now it is one again.
A Disney character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that too.
It's actually a dwarf plant.
It's also a weird
Different
salad
Disney, sure.
restaurant place. You're blessed with
Oh,
both
yeah.
the empathy
Yeah,
of
that's
a
right.
water
True.
sign and the excitement of a fire sign, giving you a wide spectrum of abilities.
Here's the problem.
Yes, right.
Zuckerberg is a Taurus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as Western astrology would put him in anyway. Apparently, it kind of depends on which
Which year of Taurus?
which set of I don't know star signs you're looking at. Yeah,
Well,
which year and what region?
Is it
and-
like a Ford Taurus where it falls apart after 40,000 miles? Or is it like
my parents had a Ford Taurus, and boy, did it give them problems. So yeah, that holds up. The old Taurus.
Well,
Yeah, Scorpio Sagittarius. I don't know.
supposedly I'm very generous, but I need to watch out for people who would take advantage of my generosity.
Right, unlike the rest of
Really?
us who would never care about
You're
things
not
like
generous,
that.
Roger.
That's how you're very special in your zodiac sign.
And you're always being taken advantage of, Roger.
Hey,
Well,
Roger, can you
You're
help me
so
out this
generous.
weekend, by the way?
I find the whole thing really I find it
In a way, that's
entertaining
true,
and kind of
yeah.
fun, but it's like there are people who take it really seriously. And I actually said to somebody who was a Scorpio actually, and he just went on and on about why he was the way he was because he was a Scorpio. And finally I was like, when you were born does not have any bearing on what kind of personality you have. You know that, right? And he was like, you're wrong. You're extremely wrong, Sarah. Wow. Like, how could you be so stupid? And I was like, agree to disagree. We both might be wrong. I don't really know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong.
What a Libra response.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a Cancer. We don't leave the house. That's all I know about Cancer.
Really?
Yeah, he likes to make
Cancer known to be kind of loner folk.
Yeah, they're homebodies. Not necessarily loner. You can come over.
I see. Yeah, you just kind of like your
he's a
place.
hermit crab, not just a
You like-
Yeah,
regular
exactly.
crab.
You like your. Yeah, well, Gemini are supposed to be the twins, so they have like split personalities.
So wait,
But
is that
again,
what
it's
you
like
are?
we all have different.
I'm on the Gemini cut.
I'm a Libra,
Yeah.
so I'm all about balance and indecision.
Maybe you're the
Yeah.
best person to interview Zuckerberg because
I agree.
you're
I agree.
alike.
Hey, Mark, I'm a Libra. You are not. Tell me why I should use your cryptocurrency.
Well, it's not mine. first
Oh,
of all.
right.
It's
Yes.
the
yes,
association.
The Libra Association.
This is my gift to the world.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It really is. I think this could be big.
Yeah.
And I think it could be bigger than Facebook. I think, yes, it's not unimportant to focus on Facebook's role in this, but if it works the way it's supposed to work, the Libra Association could just become independent of Facebook and become a force of its own.
Supposed to be.
Facebook could fall away and wither, and the Libra Association still be going strong in decades to come. It's quite possible.
It is.
It's designed to bring balance to the force.
Yeah, like Latin to the Roman Empire.
Otis says he wants one of those new Palm Mini phones, just to run Libra stuff,
On his Libra account.
just for Libra wallet, and that's about it.
Yeah. And then what would Otis spend his Libra on?
Probably toys,
Yeah.
maybe an antler here and there. Mm-hmm. Some avocados if I'm not paying attention.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I have an avocado I need to eat.
I ate so nobody asked, but I bought a loaf of sourdough bread last night. When we were talking about bread the other day, like what's our favorite bread? And there's sourdough and there's what's the bread that we said was real tart and rye bread. And bread has been in my mind for the last few days since then. So I made myself a turkey avocado sandwich for lunch today. And the sourdough bread is really big, right? So like 2 pieces of that, fully contained with the innards was a very large sandwich. It was great. I don't know the last time I made myself a sandwich.
I don't know what it
more
is.
Sandwiches.
I don't know what it is about avocados, but they make a lot of things better.
Oh yeah. Well, because it's creamy.
Fatty. It's creamy. It's fatty.
Creamy, it's fatty, kind of holds things together.
But as far as fats go, it's a healthy fat.
It's a healthy fat.
It's good
Yeah.
for you.
That's what they say. But they say you're not supposed to eat too many of them, right?
Well, you're not supposed to eat too much fat, certainly, but
I mean, I probably eat
My afternoon fat snack is out.
4 avocados a week.
yeah, that
I would
afternoon
say.
snack where you just cut the fat off a steak and just eat it raw. Don't do that anymore.
Yeah, no, thank you. I don't know. I hope I don't eat too many avocados.
I bought a salad today from Ralph's, and it told me because they give a grade to your food on this app that I've been using. It told me the salad was a C.
What do they give reasons like because that Caesar
No.
dressing or
I think it
whatever?
must be the dressing, though. Yeah.
That's usually what it is. Because
I-
people go salad, it's so
What if
good
I
for
don't
you.
use the
Well,
dressing?
yeah, the
Yeah.
dressing sometimes is.
Is it weird that I normally
that
don't
great.
eat salads without dressing? Like I normally.
No,
eat
I generally don't eat salads with dressing either.
Really?
Yeah.
You just eat it like all dry?
I'll put like salt and pepper on it.
Well, if it's done properly, it's actually not too dry.
But you've got lettuce that has no coating.
Lettuce is 90% water. You just need to break down the fibrous
And
walls.
I'm actually not much of a salad dressing person, but if I make a salad at home, like I've got some arugula in the fridge, like if I put a bunch of stuff in there and stirred it up, I would give it some olive oil and some like balsamic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
not a lot, but enough that it kind of is a little bit wet. I don't think I would like it otherwise.
If I would, if dressing was served on the side in a little portion cup, I will dip my fork in it, and maybe like on my next, like I'll get a big wad of salad and I'll fork it.
Give it a little dip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I won't. The problem is I don't like too much of it where when the salad tastes like the dressing, if that makes sense. Like I would rather taste all the ingredients in the salad and
Well,
not just.
I think that's why I'm kind of like just a little oil and vinegar. That's all you need. You don't have to go crazy. Like ranch dressing would ruin a salad to me. Caesar depends. Sometimes Caesar dressing can
I
be
love
really
Caesars, but I don't.
good. Yeah,
like
but if it's too heavy, it's kind of yucky and kind of wilty.
Well, then you have a wilted salad, and someone needs to get you better lettuce.
Better lettuce. Yeah.
Better lettuce or butter
less.
lettuce.
Well, for those of you who were worried that the Libra talk would mean no food talk, I hope you're satisfied.
We have set the
We're nothing if
scales.
not consistent.
Yeah.
They are imbalanced.
It always comes back to food. No, I'm telling you, I'm gonna eat sandwiches for the foreseeable future. I don't know why I just stopped eating sandwiches.
Keep us up to date on your sandwich adventures.
I'm going to, yeah. I'll probably have another turkey and avocado
Maybe
tomorrow.
you
It
could
was
have
so
a
good
spin-off
today.
podcast. Have such a good sandwich.
Kind of, yeah. Like, what sort of
There's your-
ingredient
there's your-
variants will we tackle today?
There's your Patreon perk for have such a good day. For
There you
sure.
go.
Oh,
yeah.
you could get like a you could
$10 and up. You get access to our Discord and sandwich talk.
Yeah. Back us at the $100 level. Get a copy of the sandwich.
We'll send you a sandwich.
send them a frozen Ike sandwich.
Ooh, Ike's. Oh, I miss Ike's.
Isn't there one down here?
I don't think so. If there is, I don't know about it.
I think the only reason I say that is because I've ordered from it.
Really? Let's look.
Ike's sandwich. This is L.A.
I was a big fan of the Castro one.
Favorite location, San
Which
Luis
I believe
Obispo.
has changed. I think they moved. from
Long
there.
Beach.
Well, that's not helpful.
That's
oh,
close.
Westwood Village.
Oh, look at
Westwood
that.
Village.
Hmm.
Burbank.
Yeah,
Burbank.
West-
We
yeah.
got a Burbank. And Bixby Village Plaza. Oh, that's Long Beach. Okay. Hey, how about that? And that's the same. It must be because they're all Ike's Place.
It has the same head or image for the head.
Yeah. Love a good Sandy.
So now
Well,
you-
folks, we are going to leave you to let you eat your sandwiches, but thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. And we hope you have a good day, Internet.
have a good day.